Welcome back to the Boardroom, guys. In this one, I've invited Kevin Reid. He runs a company called Arizona Eagle Mining. They're not yet public, but there is an opportunity here before they do go public later this year. Kevin, welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, I think it is fair to start with who you are. So provide us with an overview of who you are and what you bring to the table here as you lead this company.
Yeah, so I started my career in the mid '90s as an exploration geologist. I graduated from Queen's University Geological Sciences program, and worked in the field across Canada for a number of years, looking for base metals and gold primarily, with some PGM experience in the Sudbury area, but across Canada for a number of years. And then when BREX happened, the space dried up, and I used that as a good opportunity to go back and do an MBA in finance. And then from there, I went to CIBC World Markets in the equity research team, covering gold and base metals companies. And then in mining M&A and corporate finance at GMP Securities for 16 years. And most recently at Maxa Capital, focusing on mining M&A, which led me here. Incredible opportunity when we were able to put this deal together to acquire a past producing high grade gold mine in a mining friendly area on private ground. Was just too good of an opportunity to not get more involved in. So I'm really excited to be here and to be working on the McCabe, the Eagle project, but our anchor project, the past producing McCabe Gold Mine.
Well, talk to us about the Eagle project. Other than the fact that it's anchored by the McCabe Mine, historic producer, what is so rich here that you said, no, this isn't an opportunity I can pass up?
Yeah, it's got a storied history. After the California gold rush, many of the prospectors came to Arizona looking for gold and for copper, and they found it. This mine has a 150-year history going back to the 1870s. 2 shafts were sunk on it in the early 1900s. The Gladstone and the McCabe shafts were both sunk. And then in the 80s, a company by the name of Stanwest Mining acquired the asset and immediately sunk a shaft called the Sooner Shaft down to 850 feet, and then extended it actually down to 1,450 feet. So this project has had a lot of development, and what happened in the most recent case was gold prices dropped, and it ultimately ended up in private hands, where it resided for 30 years until our recent acquisition. So the McCabe Mine is part of the Eagle project. The Eagle project has, in addition to the McCabe Mine, another 200 plus acres for a total of over 300 acres of private ground that have prospectivity for McCabe-like structures and extending the McCabe Mine itself, and also VMS targets through the addition of more private ground and Bureau of Land Management, BLM ground. We've got over 300 acres of private ground and over 4,000 acres of BLM ground for exploration. So we've really consolidated the district. So the Eagle project consists of everything, upon which McCabe for us was the key starting point, the anchor, if you will.
Can you also walk us through what your current historic estimate is, and also how it was calculated?
Yes, great question. Our historic and this is what brought us to the McCabe project. The historic estimate is 880,000 ounces of gold at a grade of 11.7 grams per ton. The historic estimate also includes 5 million ounces of silver at 69 grams per ton. And I do want to point out that grade, 11.7 grams per ton, was after 85% processing recoveries and 15% mine dilution. So when you reverse engineer that, you get actually a head grade of greater than 15 grams per ton. And that was calculated using a cutoff grade of 6.8 grams per ton. So it'll be interesting to see if we could potentially use a lower cutoff grade, given that gold is around $5,000 an ounce. And when this was calculated, it was calculated at a $300 gold environment.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you're focused on exploration now. What are the key opportunities here for expanding that resource?
Yeah, so we know that the deposit, the shaft, the Sooner Shaft that was sunk, there's 3 shafts on this project, 2 sunk in the early 1900s, but The most recent one was sunk in the 80s, the Sooner Shaft by Stan West. That was sunk to 850 feet, and then it was extended to 1,450 feet. So the deepest known intercept we have is around 440 meters. So this is a very shallow project by underground standards. It basically starts near surface and at surface in some areas and extends down to a known depth of 440 meters. The question we have is, well, it's a few questions. Number one, can we extend it at depth? The Iron King mine, which is approximately 5 miles from us, a VMS deposit, was mined to 1 kilometer. Can this go to 1 kilometer or greater depth? Number one. Number two, we know it's open on strike because we've sampled it at surface, and there are additional mines that are along strike. So how far along strike, both to the southwest and to the northeast, does the structure go? And three, can we expand, I said there's actually four, can we expand the resource given a lower cutoff? Does the deposit have defined contacts, or is there mineralization in the hanging footwalls where we could lower the cutoff and widen the deposit? Mm-hmm. Additional to that, we have multiple structures that look like McCabe. So McCabe's open, but there are also many structures that are parallel and perpendicular to McCabe that we intend to explore.
Tell us what your ground IP program told you, plus last year's VTEM survey. I understand those two key studies were done. Anything else that you can share out of that?
Yes, so we've done a significant sampling and geophysics program, and what we're learning is, in addition to the laramide, much younger, structurally controlled precious metals deposits, which we'll call them with the McCabe style mineralization that I just described, open at depth, parallel structures, but much younger rocks. Really the foundation for the area, and it's a well-known VMS district where you have the Iron King mine, you had United Verde mine, which operated for decades and was one of the largest contributors of copper to the United States, producing over 2 billion pounds of copper. We're in a well-known Proterozoic, well over a billion years old. These much older rocks host VMS systems. And what we've seen from our geophysics and our sampling is conductors, but also high-grade copper and gold at surface, coincident with some conductive bodies. So in addition to the McCabe-style mineralization system, precious metals, much younger rocks, we've got VMS targets, which we're in a known VMS area. We've got copper, we've got gold in an outcrop, coincident with conductors. Very exciting additional aspect of this project, which we didn't buy the project for, but are very pleased that we're seeing this.
When it comes to permitting, talk to us about the county here. We already talked about it, but is it still mining friendly, right? And what stage of permitting are you at? How is that shaping out for the company?
Yeah, it's a mining friendly area. We're not in the National Forest. As I mentioned, we have over 300 acres of private ground. Let me be clear, mm-hmm. Private ground. We own the ground. We own the surface rights. The project, when it was built in the 80s, was built on 10 acres of disturbance. We have over 300 acres. And the permitting process for private ground surface disturbance is a much more straightforward process than doing it on BLM ground. So our intention is to use all the private ground we have, we're acquiring more for all our surface disturbance. So for example, getting our drill permit took about 48 hours and cost $150 to drill on private ground. We have 10 drill pads that we've established. We've upgraded our roads. So we're doing as much of our work from private ground as possible. And that's really the benefit. It is mining friendly. We're in a mining area. It's why Dewey Humboldt exists, is because of mining. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're going into a known mining area, an operation that was in production as recently as the 90s, and bringing new life to it.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've talked about the setup here with the project history, the fact that you've got, again, private land, etc. So there's a strong setup here. But let's talk about the management team, right? Other than yourself, talk to us about who's leading Arizona Eagle and what experience the group of you bring to the table for investors.
Well, of course, our chairman, Mark Pays, also Queens grad from the engineering school, has extensive, well, first of all, technical experience, but also capital markets experience, where he spent most of his career. But he's been successful in starting companies. The Castle Mountain Mine, which is now part of Equinox, was the first deal that him and my brother, in which I participated in, created. And then, of course, there was Arizona Metals, which had some very, very significant success with the K deposit. They're advancing that towards a study. And so lots of experience drilling and advancing projects and getting them drill ready and working towards additional discovery and expansion. And the strategy really being starting with, so Mark and of course Rick Vernon and other board members have a vast array of technical, legal expertise, and I would invite you to go to our website, ArizonaEagleMine.com, and review their bios. But we have a team that has technical experience, capital markets experience, but really the people that we're working with on the ground, the geos, the drillers, are all people that we've got a long history of working with, and they in themselves have solid, proven track records for doing extremely good work, and we're very pleased to have many of those people with the team today.
Mm-hmm. Well, before you go, I understand, Kevin, you're still not public. So what's the go-forward strategy from here on out for the company?
The go-forward strategy is, as we've announced, the reverse takeover of Core Nickel. Core Nickel is a company that has how we feel is very strategic nickel assets in the Thompson Nickel Belt. It's a well-known nickel jurisdiction with its own history. So we like the assets, and a lot of the shareholders are the same shareholders that we have in Arizona Eagle Mining. So there's a lot of synergies there, and we believe, well, number one, it'll help us. It's helped us keep our timelines intact to get the company public, so that we have access to the public markets for potential financing, and to give our shareholders, of course, liquidity and a stock quote to look at. But that vote will be on March 13th is when it's scheduled. So the Core Nickel shareholders will have an opportunity to vote on this transaction. The feedback from the shareholders has been very positive, and they're very excited about adding this new asset to the company. And we'll begin trading under the symbol AZEM shortly thereafter.
All right. Well, before you go, I always like to answer this question at the end, almost like a summary for my listeners. You're competing with many other peers in the junior sector. Why Arizona Eagle? You got the last word.
Well, we have number one, we have a phenomenal project, a project with a history of high grade gold and silver. So that's a phenomenal starting point. We're in a very favorable mining jurisdiction. We have a power line running through our project. We have water. We have road access. You can be at the project in under 2 hours, literally at the Sooner Shaft in your rental car in under 2 hours. We have incredible expansion potential. We're starting with a historic resource, which is a great starting point, but it's open at depth, along strike, and we have multiple structures. Plus we have VMS targets. Finally, we haven't had the benefit, since we've been private, we haven't had the move that I've seen in all these other companies. They've been re-rated as a result of gold prices doubling basically in the last 12 months and silver prices tripling. Depending on the day, it's extremely volatile. But we've been private. The last financing was done at $1.20, which valued us at 60 million Canadian. And when I look at the peers and where they're trading on a per ounce basis, just on what we have, not excluding our upside from expansion potential, based on the comparables, we haven't had the move that everyone else has had. So I feel that that's an opportunity for people who are keeping an eye on us, that if we are re-rated to where everyone else is trading, there is significant upside in our shares today.
Well, I appreciate you being here to walk us through the story, and we'll look out for more news out of Arizona Eagle Mining. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, it's Arizona Eagle Mining. That was Kevin Reid, CEO of the company. You can always stay tuned on this channel and, of course, our website to get the latest update on the company as it comes. Thanks for watching.